I was just thinking about quantifying game, and I just wanted to make a little video just off the cuff without thinking about it, about how can you quantify game? How can we, so let's just say you've got, let me give you a bit of an example. Let's just make this like a bit of a podcast where I'm talking to the phone. Let's just say because looks matter, age matters, height matters, how much money you have, whether your money, is converted into a good haircut, or if you have hair, or if you are overweight, your fashion, do you have a tattoo sleeve, is that, what is your archetype? All of these things matter. But also game matters. That is the leveling up playing field here. Otherwise, there would be no use doing it. You might as well just sit at home and hope that the pussy gets delivered to your front door, which is not going to happen. So let's have a little bit of a podcast talking about that. And so what sort of like triggered me to want to have this conversation with you guys is I was out late last night and I was winging a bunch of guys that one of them had to have been 6 foot, six foot tall, well dressed guy. Both of them are in their 20s. Yeah, they're both in their 20s. Neither of them is over 30. We're in the nightclubs. I'm in my mid to late 40s. They're both taller than me, younger than me. They're better dressed. I've got shorts on. I got shorts on, and I don't want to be too crude on the video, but yeah, like I had someone stay over for 2 days straight, and I went on a bit of a rampage, and I was tired, I was a little bit worn out, and I didn't really dress up, and because I was up all night the night before, I just passed out on the couch, and then I got up, and then I go and meet these two boys to go game last night. And so I'm looking awful. I'm shorter than them. I'm older than them. I'm a little bit ragged. I'm tired. And they don't know what they're doing, obviously. So they don't know what they're doing. We go out clubbing and they have no idea what they're doing. They make an approach and they're like, come back, and they're like, oh, it didn't work because of this. I'm like, I don't care. You're supposed to be pumping your state and approaching. We shouldn't be having like debriefs after every failed approach. It's night game, dude. Like total newbie shit where it's like one of them it's 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm telling him this is the time. This is like when it starts to warm up, and this is where you can find some yes girls. He said, no, that doesn't make any sense. And then I push him into a few approaches, and then next thing you know, he finds a yes girl. He's making out with the girl, and I won't get into why he failed, but he failed, and he's like holding on to her for dear life at the end of the night, and the friend's in there. The thing is, I opened the girl, and the girl liked me, and because he's a newbie, he didn't realize that he was jumping in on the wrong set, on the wrong girl, because that girl was into me, and I'd hooked that one out of the group of 3 girls. And if he had have not wanted to jump in because he was just desperate and horny and latch onto that one and just let me chat to her, then the other ones would have become available, and they had another friend that turned up about 4:35 a.m. in the morning, late, and that one was the hot one that ended up cock blocking. He didn't understand. So anyway, what we were doing was what we were gaming, but what the conversation ended up being at some points in the night was why was I able to hook more girls and have more success at the end of the night and have more solid interactions, and like the one that he stole from me because he's a newbie, he didn't realize he was stealing my set. And obviously I'm experienced enough to not care and just be like, yeah, I'm trying to wing and help people out. and being open to supporting the crew, supporting all the boys is actually how you in turn help yourself by being supportive and not, not trying to cut off or trying to support everybody around you, So what happened was they were they came to the conclusion in their cope delusion that the reason why I was hooking more and the girl that he ended up going for really hard was actually interested in me was because I'm better looking than them. That was the conclusion. I'm like wearing this shirt. I didn't have a shower. I smelled. I had shorts on. I had sneakers on. I was wearing the same sneakers I am here. Had this. I'm wearing this in the club. This is what I was wearing in the club. I'm surprised they even, it wasn't really like there was a few better clubs, but there was also bars, and we're doing technically day game / gutter game type stuff out the front of the clubs as well. But there are a few pubs and bars around that are almost like cocktail, where they didn't really care about, they're like cocktail lounges where they didn't really check. And when it's late at night, they don't really check in the way you dress. And they came to the conclusion that I was hooking and I was doing better than them because I was better looking, even though I am at least 15 years older than them. Probably, I kept asking them, if you see someone that looks older than me anywhere here, please let me know. I'm older than the security, I'm older than the managers of the bars. I'm like the oldest person in the whole nightclub area. Also, you guys are taller than me, right? Because they're like, one of them was like up here. The other one had to have been 6'2", 6'3". So I'm older than them. I also like, am I dressed better than you? I was just trying to, it's a form of cope that it's almost like a mass delusion or mass psychosis that men go through, where they look at other guys and think, he must be having success because he's better looking, but objectively, if you have a close look, I'm objectively not better looking than you. Not in any way, shape or form. You've got an advantage over me in every aspect of it. And I tried to explain it to them, and I'm not sure if they fully comprehended that. It's just that they weren't, their vibe was off. The way they were talking to the girls was off. They didn't realize that whenever they felt like the girl wasn't hooking or giving her a good reaction, they would give like a bad look, and they were like, oh, and they didn't realize that every other girl in the interaction could see their bad attitude and the fact that they were like, oh, she's rejecting me. Oh, they could tell that they weren't bringing like a good vibe. They would point. It's like, is that guy cock blocking us? He's jumping in on our set. And he wasn't aware that they could see everything that he was doing as well. They would turn to me and ask for permission to approach a girl. It's like, just do it, and I will see you do it, and then I will jump in and try to help you out. So it got me thinking, which is the eternal question when it comes to like dating advice: how can we quantify a game? And recently there's a bunch of guys that have like Ice White's Game Global group. Ice White's always been kind of nice to me, so I don't really, I've always got on well with him regardless. But it seems like the voting thing is like the blind leading the blind. You got a bunch of guys that don't know what they're talking about voting on who they think is the best coach, and it makes me, and so obviously it's not real because it's not the way men do things. We have a score. This is why men like sports, because there's objective scoring. It's you score points, or you have a sport where you can objectively see who is better. Right, and when things become too political, we want to boycott the entire system when we realize it's an entire scam. I think that's the problem with Game Global trying to pick out who's the best pickup artist of this year. It's like Mystery was on the list. When was the last time he actually? I don't know. Like, is he really gaming at his age at this point, or is he just coaching? you know. And so objectively, that's not good. And the point, the example I'd like to use would be, and he's got to be my favorite basketball player at the moment, is Nikola Jokic, because for the last 5 years, statistically, he's been the best player every single year. And you can objectively see through his stats and the amount of points that he racks up, and assists and rebounds and steals, and people talk about the advanced stats. And this is why he's got 3 MVPs, even though politically there's a lot of racism against him. There's a lot of people that hate on Nikola Jokic because he doesn't have a six-pack. He's not jacked. He doesn't look like he would be the best. And because he doesn't look like he would be the best, people don't want to give him the MVP every single year. But if you look at the stats, he's objectively the best. And that cannot be denied. Yet, he only got 3 MVPs when he should have got 5. He got robbed last year by some scammer that had a team full of all-stars. So his entire team's full of all-stars. Nikola Jokic has a team of nobodies, and they meet in the finals. And this team of all-stars basically take on one man and only just beat him. And in a few of those games, Nikola Jokic slaughtered them. I think it was like 20 points at one stage. Absolute demolition in one stage. And he had no backup teammates that have done any representative basketball at all. They're all nobodies. So he got robbed last year as well because of the political part of it. But the only thing that keeps him in the race is the fact that he is objectively the best. And you can look at the stats. You can look at the buckets he gets. You can look at the assists. You can look at everything. People are looking at the amount of triple doubles that this guy gets. He gets I think he's got 4 triple doubles this season in a row so far. And some people have measured out the stats and compared it to Jordan and Kobe and some of the greatest of all time, and he's right up there with the best, and he's on top of Jordan already for his MVP year. But if you look at him, he doesn't look like what you would like the MVP to be. He doesn't look like the basketball player that you want. He's not the basketball player that you want, but he's the basketball player that you need. Because what he's doing is he's showing objectively through scoring points, getting all of the assists, team play, that he's the best. And if he didn't have all of those objective stats, then he would never be in the conversation. He probably wouldn't be in the top 100. He probably wouldn't be allowed to play in the NBA just because of the way he looks. And so this part, and then let me go back to dating, this part of it really does cloud the view of how we have a ranking system and how we view guys. When it comes to dating coaches, it does cloud people's views, but the difference is, in basketball, we have cameras, we have stats, we have points, we have, we got referees, we got the politics cannot destroy basketball, even though the politics has done its best to destroy basketball over the last 5 years, purely because they don't like the look of Nikola Jokic. Okay? If he had a six-pack and he was 10 foot tall and he had massive biceps, then people would probably accept him. But he's a little bit pudgy, and he kind of makes every other player that he beats look bad because he really doesn't look that good. And so the political aspect of it is really saving face. And the same thing, I think, is happening, and has been happening from the beginning of the dating industry even being invented. It happens in the dating industry as well, because it's based on looks. And so when you look at it, the dating industry will always pick, Shane Gilgeous-Alexander, because he looks the part. because he's got the headband on and he's like ripped. He doesn't eat any carbs. He's got a six-pack. He's fast. But Nikola Jokic would destroy him. I would like to see these guys do a one-on-one. Nikola Jokic would destroy him. He destroys him in the stats every game. But he's not the basketball player that you want to see. You want to see the SGAs out there. You see, and with the dating industry, it's the exact same thing. And this is why so many of them are out there exposing each other, and it's really toxic. And nobody's really out there trying to make it less toxic, because the people at the top want to keep it that way and hold the corrupt system up the way it is. And I would say the elites at the top of the dating industry that get the most clicks, they're more black pill than the black pillars themselves, because they know, and you have a close look at them, looks maxing is more important than the quality of their content, the quality of their game. And this goes back to me trying to point out that the quality of the game, are you actually a good gamer? Do you know what you're doing? Are you the best? That gets left behind, and looking like an SGA, looking like the best gamer should look, almost like cosplaying a gamer, best clicks, the best video editing, the best snappy everything, the best, a lot of them have been accused of hiring actresses, this is where the whole DHVing and, it's even more valuable to convince, and this is what makes it a little bit gay, is that how you can prove to the audience that you're a good gamer is by convincing other men in the industry that you are working with them to collab, so that you can prove that you are the best gamer. And it has nothing to do with women at all. So, I'm not saying it's gay. I'm not saying that at all. I would never say such a thing. But how can we quantify game when, even after me saying all of this, you're still going to have newbies like the guys that I was gaming with last night going into this like delusional mass psychosis stage where they look at me, someone who is objectively lower ranking in the looks department, age, everything, height. If you go through and just go through all of the important aspects of your appearance as a male, I'm a lower ranking, especially in the nightclubs where there's like 21-year-old girls everywhere. I'm objectively ranking lower. So they will still try to justify it, to try and say that. So there's a lot of, we need a psychologist to come in and have a look at this, because objectively, you have a look at the audience, looking at who's good at game, and the market will decide, and it really is just a big scam, when objectively, if you have a close look at it, and you had to do even like a keys to the VIP, which is probably a legal type competition, with a panel of guys that are, gamers, or even at least know what they're talking about, they've spent some time in the field, it would be good to see if we could come to some sort of a conclusion, because what I'm seeing at the top, another thing I'm seeing at the top, you have guys that are like in their 20s or early 30s that are leaving places like Sydney, and in their 20s as a coach, they're going straight to Poland. They're going straight to Poland. And they're, it's like, come on. You're in your 20s, you should be able to dominate in Sydney. You shouldn't have to dominate in Warsaw in your 20s. Especially if you're a coach, you're held to a higher regard than the average dude that hits the clubs. So, I don't think that this is going to be solved, because a lot of the guys that get a lot of the clicks, the algorithm's a little bit rigged. A lot of it's entertainment. I see a lot of the guys at the top and their girlfriends are like in their 30s. Guys in their 30s with girls in their 30s. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Anyway, most of you wouldn't have watched to this far, but that's just a few thoughts I've been thinking through. I don't think that this is going to be solved. I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion other than Keys to the VIP. Keys to the VIP was really the only sort of, if Nikola Jokic didn't have basketball, he wouldn't even be a basketball player. It's heavily weighted into the politics to the point where basketball's almost just picking the guy that looks like a basketball player, the same as with game. And the difference is game and dating advice is that the only thing we have is all the politics, and we don't even have the game. We don't have the keys to the VIP where we could actually get some stats. And I bet none of the guys in the top 10 would actually rank if we had a proper competition like that. And maybe guys that will rank in the top would actually look like Nikola Jokic, and they would win consistently on points and ranking, but the entire market would still hate on them because they don't look like what they think a PUA should look like or a dating coach should look like. And this is why this is a great, it's so, I think using Nikola Jokic in the NBA is a great analogy for what is happening in the dating market today. We even had recently, just before I end this, we had Sadia Khan. Now, I don't know if this is true, but there's been a lot of people saying that it's true. And I know that it's true that she said that she's a psychologist or psychotherapist or whatever. I saw it on the website. I saw her actually say it in videos. But there's people claiming that she isn't even a qualified psychologist. She's not qualified properly. Which is, if that is true, it is technically fraud. But why did she rise to the top and get like millions of clicks and do the rounds of all of these podcasts? Why did she rise to the pinnacle, making millions of dollars and traveling the world? As a fish, teaching fish how to catch fish. Yeah, good one. But to not even be a qualified psychotherapist or whatever, psychologist or whatever. She rose to the top because there's no substance to the dating industry. It's purely, do you look like a dating coach? Oh, she's hot. She speaks well. Well, therefore, she must know what she's talking about. We better put her on every podcast for dating advice for men all around the world. But if we were to do, actually another part of this, it's not just keys to the VIP. That's like, if we look at the UFC, keys to the VIP is actually getting in the ring, right? And then you have a panel of judges that will categorize where your mate value is compared to the girl that you're picking up, etc., and you analyze your game. The other one would be, the UFC has the Ultimate Fighter. And the Ultimate Fighter is when the dating coach, the PUA/dating coach, gets in there and has a group of students and we see who's the best coach. That's what the UFC does. They have the Ultimate Fighter, you see? And, we don't have any of that. All we have is the facade, the Sadia Khan, no offense. I don't see any good advice coming out of anything that she's ever said. But we've got the Sadia Khans that look the part. They look amazing without any good advice. It seems like it's just copy-paste. I saw a podcast where she was swooning over Andrew Tate, and they rise to the top, but there's no actual game involved, and there's no actual, ultimate fighter where we see you coaching and see you getting results for people. And so without that, the entire market is clicking in the dark, blind, click, click. Click on this one. Maybe this person knows what they're talking about. They've got flashy editing and they look like a dating coach should look like. So imagine if Nikola Jokic was trying to teach you how to play basketball, and he was spending all of his time out there clubbing and gaming, and he comes onto YouTube and he starts giving you advice, and you're clicking on Sadia Khan's advice. We live in a simulation. We do. We live in a simulation. It's designed this way, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.